Last week it was Naaman, the big, really important Syrian general who finds himself in a crisis because he has leprosy. This week we meet Jacob, a very, very important man in the history of faith who also finds himself in a crisis. I have to tell you, I don't know what Bev and my wife and I, were thinking when we named our son Jacob. Biblically, the name means the deceiver. From the very beginning, according to the biblical story, Jacob was causing problems. Even before he was born, he was involved in some shenanigans. One of the Bible's fanciful stories tells us that Jacob, a twin, was trying to get his way even when he was in utero. He grabbed hold of his brother Esau's heel because he didn't want Esau to be the first one out of the womb. Conflict between the two occurred even before either one of them was on the scene. When the conflict grew as they got older, frankly, Jacob and Esau's parents were not much help with the conflict, as they often are not. They contributed to it. Mom babied Jacob, and Dad favored Esau. After all, not only was Esau the firstborn, but he was also the hunter, the burly man's man, and Dad was taken by him. Now, after Jacob and Esau had grown up and were quite a bit older, Dad got really sick, so sick that he was about ready to die. Jacob then plotted to get his dad's blessing, since he wasn't the firstborn and therefore not eligible for the inheritance from his father. Mom, who loved Jacob more than Esau, conspired with Jacob to trick Dad, who was practically blind and about ready to die, into thinking that he is offering his blessing, that is his stuff, to Esau, his favorite, the elder. Jacob, with the help of his mom, takes the skins, these are such great stories, by the way, takes the skins off of some hairy animals because Esau was hairier than hairy, and he didn't have much hair. And he took those skins and placed them on himself. And after Mom feeds Dad his favorite dishes, and I wouldn't be surprised, gives him plenty of the bubbly, Jacob dresses in Esau's clothes and covers himself with hairy animal skins and asks dear old Daddy for the blessing. And Mom and Jacob get what they want. Jacob gets the stuff. He gets the inheritance. And then you know what he did? He ran off. The Bible tells us now Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father had blessed him. And Esau said to himself, I will kill my brother Jacob. Now you think your family is dysfunctional. It is hard to beat this bunch. This, by the way, is where today's story from Genesis picks up. I had to provide you a little background before we got to the story today. Esau is now coming to get his brother, and he's bringing 400 of his closest, burliest, hairiest friends along with him. So Jacob is in a little crisis. And in crisis management mode, Jacob sends his family and everything that he has to the other side of the Jabbok River. And on this side of the Jabbok River, this is so good, so profoundly symbolic. On this side of the Jabbok, Jacob was left all alone. Until someone joins him, a man, we are told. And then Jacob spends the whole night wrestling with this man. Who is the man? That's hard to say. Some folks say, well, it's obviously Esau. This is a dream, and it must be Esau. I mean, His brother now is coming to get him, and his brother is the struggle of his life. Lots of us struggle with our brothers and our sisters. And some of those brothers and sisters, by the way, are our relatives, but some of them are not. The struggle of life is often with other people. They can make life so doggone hard. Some of them are pains in the you-know-what. And let's be honest, they threaten our ability to get out of life what we want and we think we deserve. There's only so much to go around, you know. And when others get the goods, get the inheritance, get the love, get the recognition, get the approval, we don't. Sometimes we wish we could just get rid of them. Why do you think? And the Bible is so profound, not because this stuff happened once upon a time, because it happens all the time. Why do you think the Bible tells us that the first consequence of human sin is sibling rivalry? Cain kills Abel. Others sometimes are our biggest problem. So maybe the man is Esau. But the story is really quite vague. It's hard to know who for sure the man is. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe a story like this is vague purposefully. Maybe the problem really isn't Esau. Maybe the man Jacob is wrestling with is Jacob. Sometimes the biggest battles in our lives are with ourselves. I love what Katie Sutton said in our book study on Wednesday night, this past Wednesday. She said, sometimes you got to admit that the problem isn't somebody else. It's you. No doubt, Jacob was Jacob's biggest problem. Sometimes you simply have to face the music. And the wise ones among us are the ones who are willing to struggle with themselves. Maybe, though, the man Jacob is struggling with is not Esau or Jacob. Maybe the one Jacob is struggling with is God. The text suggests that when we hear what the man says to Jacob, you shall no longer be called Jacob, but you shall be called Israel, for you have striven with God and with humans and have prevailed. Again, the text is not clear. Maybe this man is a divine figure. Maybe the big time wrestling match is between Jacob the deceiver and the God who won't let him go. Maybe the biggest struggles in life are not with other people or even with ourselves, but with God. Maybe life is one big wrestling match with God. Life's not an easy walk in the park. Life in faith is a big struggle, and a big struggle sometimes that wounds us. You'll note that ultimately Jacob prevails in the wrestling match, but he didn't walk away from it unscathed. His hip was put out of joint. He walked away from the wrestling match limping. Don't think for 1 minute. Don't think for 1 minute that this faith stuff is a matter of easy answers, smiles, or certainty. It's not. And those who try to convince you that it is aren't telling the truth and often are hiding behind struggles and beneath struggles that they would rather not reveal. Sometimes they have the money or the physical and theological resources to cover up the limp. They often know how to use lots of makeup. After all, life in this culture can sometimes be one big cover-up job. Life is a struggle. It's a struggle to discern meaning for your life. It's a struggle to find your worth as a human being. It's a struggle to unearth what justifies your life, what justifies you taking up space in this world. It's a struggle to deal with your past, to uncover redemption, that which somehow addresses the destructive, unloving, and yes, stupid parts of your history. These struggles, all of these struggles, by the way, are God's struggles. So maybe the man Jacob is struggling with is really God. Maybe our struggles are ultimately with God. Maybe as we're trying to prove ourselves, trying to justify our lives, trying to find worth, trying to move forward while hindered by the past that slows us down, we are struggling with God. To struggle with worth, which is what a lot of us struggle with, to struggle with justification, to struggle with your own brokenness is to struggle with God. I'm taken by a portion of the Genesis text that could easily be overlooked. After the night-long wrestling match, which puts Jacob's hip out of joint, the man or the divine figure says, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." And Jacob responds, "I will not let you go until you bless me." Now, some people are probably unsettled by the revelation that Jacob in this match has somewhat of an upper hand. You would think if the man were God, God would be the complete victor. But the text suggests otherwise. You have striven with God and with humans and have prevailed. Jacob prevails. But the one who prevails still wants a blessing from his wrestling partner. I am not going to let you go unless you bless me. And we are told, the man, can I say at this point, God blessed him. There at the river Jabbok, God blessed him. There at the place of struggle, God blessed that deceiving, conniving, limping Jacob. There, God gave him a whole new name. There, God named him Israel. Upon him now, the whole people of God shall be built. Do you get this? Do you understand how blessing works? Do you get how grace truly works? God hunts us down. God wrestles with us who are sometimes conniving and deceiving, us whose past haven't always been stellar, us who sometimes are a part of a big dysfunctional family. The struggle, the God we struggle with is the God who knows us better than we know ourselves, the God who gives us worth as a gift, the God who justifies our life as a gift, the God who uses our past to create new futures, the God who blesses us. Jacob, maybe you are ready now to face your brother Esau. Maybe you're even ready to face yourself. And maybe you're even ready to face God, because what you are facing in the struggle that life and faith are is love. It's love that holds you, and love that frees you to move forward into a life shaped by love. Amen.